What is going on, presented here back with another Honkai style guide, and today I'm here with the full build guide for the upcoming 3.1 second half character being Mydei. So this video I'm going to be taking you over his key and Eidolons, then I'll be taking you over some Lightcone recommendations, followed by that will be Relic set and Planar Ornament recommendations, and then finally the Relic Mainstat and Substat recommendations. I plan on having a full build guide for every 3.1 character that is both new and will also be returning. I already have one up for both the first half characters being Tribi and Yunli. You are now watching the Mydei guide, and there will soon be one for Whoa. So if you're interested in building any of those characters, definitely be sure to check out those videos or stay tuned. That's all I want to say before I get to the video. If you guys found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, drop a good like, would be greatly appreciated. If you're new or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of Star Rail content. Check the description to join the Discord, and make sure to send this video to anyone that may need a Mydei guide, as it may help them. And let's get straight into the video. So Mydei is an imaginary character following the path of destruction. His basic attack deals imaginary damage equal to 50% of Mydei's max HP to one designated enemy. His skill consumes HP by an amount equal to 50% of Mydei's current HP, deals imaginary damage equal to 90% of Mydei's max HP to one designated enemy, and imaginary damage equal to 50% of Mydei's max HP to adjacent targets. If the current HP is not sufficient, using skill reduces Mydei's current HP to 1. His ultimate restores HP by 20% of Mydei's max HP and accumulates 20 talent charge points. Deals imaginary damage equal to 160% of Mydei's max HP to one designated enemy, and deals imaginary damage equal to 100% of Mydei's max HP to adjacent targets. Additionally, taunts the target and targets adjacent to it, lasting for 2 turns. The next use of Godslayer Be God prioritizes attacking one designated enemy, and this effect only works on the latest target. His talent, for each 1% of HP lost, accumulates 1 point of charge up to 200 points. When charge reaches 100, consumes 100 points of charge to enter the Vendetta state. Restores HP equal to 25% of Mydei's max HP, and advances action by 100%. While the Vendetta state is active, max HP increases by 50% of the current max HP, and defense remains at 0. At the start of this unit's turn, automatically uses Kingslayer Be King. When charge reaches 150 points during the Vendetta state, Mydei immediately gains 1 extra turn and automatically uses Godslayer Be God. When receiving a killing blow during the Vendetta state, Mydei will not be knocked down, but will clear his charge, exits the Vendetta state, and restores HP by 50% of his max HP. As it did say, it gives him access to Kingslayer Be King, which is an enhanced skill, and what that does is consumes HP by an amount equal to 35% of Mydei's current HP, deals imaginary damage equal to 110% of Mydei's max HP to one enemy, and imaginary damage equal to 66% of Mydei's max HP to adjacent targets. This ability will automatically be used. And for when he does have 150 charge and he does get Godslayer Be God, what it does is it consumes 150 points of charge, deals imaginary damage equal to 280% of Mydei's max HP to one enemy, and deals imaginary damage equal to 168% of Mydei's max HP to adjacent targets. This ability will automatically be used. While this ability is in use, charge cannot be accumulated. His technique: after using technique, pulls in enemies within a certain area and inflicts daze on them for 10 seconds. Dazed enemies will not actively attack ally targets. If actively attacking dazed enemies, when entering battle, deals imaginary damage equal to 80% of Mydei's max HP to all enemies, and taunts the targets lasting for 1 turn. This unit accumulates 50 points of the taunt's charge. For his bonus traces, his A2, during the Vendetta state, Mydei will not exit the Vendetta state when receiving a killing blow. This effect can trigger 3 times per battle. His A4, while in the Vendetta state, Mydei is immune to crowd control debuffs. And his A6, when the battle starts, if Mydei's max HP exceeds 4000, for every 100 excess HP, Mydei's crit rate increases by 1.2%, his charge ratio from enemy targets damage increases by 2.5%, and his incoming healing increases by 0.75%. Up to 4000 excess HP can be taken into account for this effect. And finally, for his Eidolons, his E1, the damage multiplier applied by Godslayer Be God to the primary target increases by 30%, and Godslayer Be God becomes imaginary damage dealt to all enemies equal to the damage multiplier applied to the primary target. His E2, during Vendetta, the damage dealt by Mydei ignores 15% of the target's defense, and when receiving healing, converts 40% of the healed amount to charge. The tally of converted charge cannot exceed 40 points, resets the tally of this charge after any unit takes action. His E4, while in Vendetta, increases crit damage by 30% and restores HP by 10% of this unit's max HP after receiving attacks from enemy targets. And his E6, when entering battle, immediately enters the Vendetta state and lowers the charge required for Godslayer Be God to 100 points. Taking a look at some of the Lightcone recommendations for Mydei, obviously the first one is going to be his best one, being his own signature Lightcone, which if you take a look down here, it does increase the max HP for the wearer by 18% and increases incoming healing by 20%. When using skill or ultimate, consumes HP equal to 6% of the wearer's max HP and increases damage dealt by this attack by 30%. If this effect's consumed HP is greater than 500, this attack's damage additionally increases by 30%, and if the current HP is not sufficient, the effect reduces the wearer's HP down to 1. So the reason this is going to be the best, as it does increase his max HP, so more HP is going to further increase his damage as he is a HP scaling character. Not only that, it does also increase the healing he does receive, so more healing he does get will increase his survivability, as he does consume a lot of HP in battle, so that's going to be very important to have him healing enough to actually stay alive, and also provide more charge, so the incoming healing increase is also going to be very, very helpful. And on top of that, using skill or ultimate, when you do consume HP, you're consuming more HP now, which is going to also allow you to gain even more charge than you normally would, and also gives you a big 30% increased damage dealt for the attack for both your skill and ultimate, and can go up to 60%. A proper built Mydei does consume over 500 practically with every attack for the HP, and he does have a lot of HP to actually suffice doing that. As long as you don't have him below 500 HP already, and then he consumes HP, and then obviously it can't consume 500 or more. In those cases, it won't actually be the full 60%, but anytime he is healed, or if it's the beginning of the battle, or just whatever HP your Mydei is at properly, he's going to practically always be able to consume 500 or higher HP, which is practically always going to let him get the full 60% damage out to the skill and ultimate damage. And as we do know from his kit, his enhanced skill is his main source of damage. His ultimate does also do some pretty good damage, and so this getting a 60% increase to the damage dealt when you are consuming HP more than 500, which again you always will, is super broken, as that is a massive increase to damage dealt. And once again, we already talked about the HP consuming. The more you consume, it's going to help you actually consume the amount you will need easier, and on top of that will give you more charge than you normally would. And then we already mentioned more max HP, more damage, as he does scale off HP, and then more healing is going to help you stay alive even more, which is why his signature Lightcone is far and none his best option to use. Another fantastic option is actually Blade's signature Lightcone, which provides an 18% increase to crit rate and increases their max HP by 18% as well. When the wearer's attacker consumes their own HP, their damage increases by 24% and is removed until the wearer uses an attack. As Blade is the other HP consuming character that is also destruction, it practically will work on Mydei for the same reasons it does work for Blade. 18% increase in crit rate is good. Only thing is you want to worry that you don't actually end up overcapping on crit, as it does become a bit easier to overcap on crit because you are gaining 48% in his base kit plus the 5% you have at base, and then it doesn't account for other buffs such as Sunday's Trace, Sparkle, Lightcone, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't actually account for those, so it's very easy to overcap if you are running a crit rate based Lightcone, which makes this a bit harder, but it's still good. It can also help you allocate even more stats into crit damage and HP especially, which is why crit rate, although not as strong as something like more damage or crit damage, is still good, and it also does still give you 18% max HP, which is going to be good, as again, he is also an HP scaling character, and Mydei does also consume his own HP. So you get the second part of the Lightcone where it increases his damage by 24%, so you also get a 24% increase to your damage anytime you would be consuming HP, so Mydei will do more damage in that sense, which is why Blade's Lightcone is another great option for him. Another fantastic and also free-to-play option is the newer Ninja Record Sound Hunt Lightcone, which increases the wearer's max HP by 12%. When losing or restoring this unit's HP, increases crit damage by 18% for 2 turns and can only trigger once per turn. And since it's free, very easy S5, you get 24% increase to max HP and up to a 36% increase to crit damage for 2 turns. Mydei does consume his HP and also will be healed a lot, so the extra crit damage you do get is going to very much practically always be active. And again, 24% increase to max HP is a very nice increase for his max HP gains, allowing him to have more HP, allowing you to hit the amount you would want to hit before battle. So the 2 stats this Lightcone does provide is super beneficial to Mydei and is also very easy to achieve, as again, he consumes his own HP, so you practically always will have this crit damage up. So free max HP and free crit damage practically at all times in battle, which is why this free-to-play Lightcone is a fantastic option to use. Another option you can use is a Secret Battle Lightcone, which increases damage dealt by the wearer by 20%. The wearer also deals an extra 20% of damage to enemies whose current HP percentage is equal to or higher than the wearer's current HP percentage. And at S5, it becomes a 40% for both values. So this Lightcone is practically an all-time free 40% damage dealt Lightcone. It's definitely not as powerful as any of the other ones I did mention, but it is an option you can use. At 40%, it's alright because it's just free damage dealt you would get in battle. And if you are able to proc the second part of the Lightcone, then it goes up to an 80%, which further increases the value of this Lightcone. It's still not better than the other ones, but it is still a lot better when you do have both parts up. But as the other Soundhound Lightcone is free to play, it's just a better option for you to use. But in cases where you may not have it or you're farming for it, you can use the secret vow instead until you do get it. For the Relic set options for Mydei, his best install is going to be 4-piece of the Scholar set, which is 2-piece increases crit rate by 8%, and the 4-piece increases damage dealt by skill and ultimate by 20%. After using ultimate, additionally increases the damage dealt by the next skill by 25%. So as I already mentioned previously, he can overcap on crit rate, so the 2-piece still does give you enough to where it's not a big problem, but it's mainly for the fact that the 4-piece is so strong, as his main damage is the enhanced skill and his ultimate also does do good damage. So both of them getting a 20% damage increase at base is very powerful, and then using your ultimate gives you an additional 25% increase to the next skill, which for that skill you're going to be doing an extra 45% damage dealt to the actual enemy when you do use it, which is a really big increase. So this Relic set, for the reasons of actually increasing his main damage output sources by so much, is why it's going to be the best in slot for Mydei, and is definitely the one you do want to farm. Another option you can use is the 4-piece of the max HP set. 2-piece gives you a 12% increase to max HP, so that's going to be good. And the 4-piece, when the wearer is hit or has their HP consumed by an ally or themselves, their crit rate increases by 8% for 2 turns and up to 2 stacks. Again, you will have to watch for having your crit rate end up overcapping, but this can still help you get even less rolls needed in your actual relics, as he really doesn't need too many crit rate rolls thanks to all the buffs he does have available to him, and especially in his base kit. This will practically eliminate more needs of any sort of rolls you would want, as it gives you up to a 16% increase, and he is consuming his own HP constantly, so it's very easy to practically always have an extra free 16%. And the 2-piece giving him max HP is good, as again he does scale off max HP. So in cases where you don't end up overcapping and the crit rate can actually help you, then the 4-piece of the max HP set is actually a good idea. Past that, it is actually just combining 2 pieces with 2 pieces. So combining 2 pieces of the max HP set with something like the 2-piece of the imaginary set, as he does deal imaginary damage, is an option you can do. Or if you may not have any rolls on your crit rate and you still could use some, you could still do just the 2-piece of the Scholar set, since 2-piece giving you crit rate is nice. But as I mentioned constantly, you definitely just want to make sure you don't end up overcapping. And unfortunately, those are practically your only options. So 2-piece max HP with 2-piece Scholar or the imaginary 2-piece. Primarily, you just want to get a 4-piece Scholar, as it is by far his best in slot. If not that, 4-piece of the max HP set is another option you can do, as long as you don't overcap on crit. And then if not that, 2-piece max HP with 2-piece Scholar, or 2-piece of one of those mentions, preferably with the max HP set, as it's just the best one you could do for a 2-piece with the 2-piece imaginary set. When it comes to Planar ornaments, his best one is going to be the brand new one that does come out when 3.1 does release, as it does increase the wearer's max HP by 12%, and when the wearer's max HP is 5,000 or higher, increases the wearer's and their memo spread's crit damage by 28%. So, as I already mentioned countless times, he does scale off HP, so the max HP increase is going to be nice, and he will definitely have 5,000 or higher HP. You want a good chunk more than that before going into battle, so this is not going to be a problem. So it practically becomes a free 28% increase in crit damage, making this brand new ornament that is going to come out with, once again, the 3.1 update, his best in slot, and is by far going to just be the best option you can use. As again, both the increase to crit damage and max HP is super helpful, and again, a proper built Mydei is going to have a lot more than 5,000 HP, so it just becomes a free 28% crit damage with more max HP on top of that. Unfortunately, he really does not have that many options past that. The only other option is really just Rudolin Arena, as it provides 8% crit rate, and when the wearer's current crit rate reaches 70% or higher, damage dealt by basic attack and skill increases by 20%. So the 70% requirement of crit rate to get the actual buff should not be a problem, as there's already so many solutions to get over 70% easily. You have the 2-piece of the Scholar set, 4-piece of the max HP set, especially his Trace, which is going to give him so much, plus his base crit, Sunday buff, Sparkle Lightcone, all that kind of stuff. And on top of that, this will also be giving you an extra 8, so this is not going to be an issue. So you're just getting a free 20% increase to skill, which is again his main source of damage, which is why Rudolin Arena is going to be his second best option to use. Obviously, the other set is a lot better, but this is going to be one you can use as a substitute, as it is still going to be really strong on him. For the main stats on the relics, for the body, you're practically always going to have crit damage, as there's already tons of ways, especially with this base Trace, to get him so much crit rate, so you will not need to ever run a crit rate body. so crit damage is going to be your way to go. For the feat, you can do either speed or HP percent. If you want to do a -1 speed build with someone like Sunday or Bronya, then you would be taking speed boots in that case to build that actual -1 build. Or if you're doing a hyperspeed, like a hyperspeed Sunday or hyperspeed Sparkle especially, in those cases you can take HP percent boots. For the orb, you can do either imaginary damage or HP percent. Most cases you're going to be do HP percentage because most people will be running speed boots. So if you are running speed boots, then you would take an HP orb. If you're doing HP boots, then you could take imaginary damage on the orb. And for the link rope, you want HP percent. For these substats, first you want to prioritize getting HP up to 8k before you do go into battle. That's what you're going to want to have when you are going into battle in order to fully max out his trace and get the full crit rate buff you would get. Past that is just more crit rate, crit damage. Primarily crit damage because once again, he's already getting so much crit rate and he has a bunch of sources. So you're really going to be focusing on more crit damage first, and then any crit rate rolls could help. More crit rate rolls will help you push closer to that 100% crit rate that you would want. You don't have to necessarily aim for it exactly, but getting closer to 100% would require some more crit rate rolls. So having crit rate on your relics is still nice. So once again, first you want to prioritize getting your HP to 8k in order to fully utilize the buff before battle. Past that is more crit damage to further amplify his damage. And then past that would be even more crit rate just to get you closer to 100% crit rate. And if that is the video, that is the build guide for Mydei. Once again, hope you guys found the video helpful. If you did, drop a like, it would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this along with all other types of style art content. That's all I want to say. Peace out.